Today we are going beyond the gate with a businessman, an innovator, and a community supporter, my dear friend, Mr. Randy Little. Randy, thank you for joining me today.
Good afternoon.
So, I've known you for a few years, but you have a long history before that, and I am honored to get to sit beside you, serving at something we'll talk about later, and get to know you and travel the country together. But you are a household name in the Ozarks because of a little old Western store.
Yeah.
But I want to sit down, and before we dive deep into what you're going on now, I want to talk about little old Randy Little from Clever, Missouri.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was raised on a dairy farm. Got up every morning at 4:45, and we went out and milked 80 to 100 head of cows. And that was our life. Ever since I can remember, that was my job, is to go out and either feed the cows or milk the cows and graduate up to where you was doing a new job and get on a tractor. And if you could reach it, pedals, you get to go to the field. That was my life. I enjoyed it. I thought the world was the best place we could possibly be. You know, we had Richard hosting cows, and we had land, and, you know.
You were living the American dream.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I couldn't do is study. You know, at Clever High, you didn't have to do too much, but you really need to do a little bit, you know.
So you lived in a world where Clever wasn't a suburb of Springfield.
Clever,
it was rural.
We had 17 in my class. You know,
17 in your graduating class.
Yes.
Any siblings?
Yes, I had two older brothers and a younger sister, and one died during COVID, and the other one lives in Eldon. And I got a sister who graduated, lives in Rogersville, and taught Rogersville and Fordland for many years, and she's now retired.
So it wasn't just a dairy farm, it was a family farm.
It's a family farm.
So take me through the day in the life of Randy Little on the farm. You did it all. What was your favorite job?
Strangely enough, it was plowing.
Oh, because you're in a tractor.
On a tractor at nighttime. No lights. We didn't have cabs. You could actually see because of the muffler. The muffler was red. I loved to do that at nighttime, and I was always a achiever. I always wanted to please, and I wanted my dad to say, hey, you know, I'm going to go plow tonight. I'll come in at midnight or whatever. Just get me up at 5, and we'll go milk. And I got a little extra work done, and yeah, I just enjoyed that. I enjoyed the cattle side. My brother was better on pedigrees. Mm-hmm. I was more into the training, the leading, the showing side of it.
That's what I was going to bring up.
We practiced a lot.
I can't picture you showing a big old Holstein cow.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. In fact, I won more showmanship classes, and we were very competitive, and because I learned very quickly from some really cool people and how to do it, and Dad always put me out there first. This is yours, do your best job, and I enjoyed it. It was slow walking, and white jeans, you know, white shirt, and you got slobbered on just the first time you walked in a ring.
Well, if you've ever been to a dairy show, you know what Randy's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm a beef girl, so I never wore white, and we didn't walk slow. We walked the pace of that animal. But I'm thinking about that tradition of those white jeans.
Oh, yeah.
It goes back forever.
As far as I know.
But why?
I have no idea, but that was a big deal to be able to get a new pair of white jeans so you can go show. But we showed everywhere. We didn't stop.
That's what I said. Where did showing take you?
I don't know where it didn't take me. I mean, we from every state fair, Missouri, Ozark Empire Fair, Missouri State Fair, Oklahoma State Fair, Dallas State, Texas State Fair. We hauled a load to Phoenix, Arizona, to show out there. I mean, I've been about everywhere dragging trailers before I was even 16. You know,
we won't tell anybody.
And so, yeah, that was fun.
So growing up on the farm, we showed also, but my dad always told me that showing cattle, the genetics we showed in the show ring were the genetics we wanted to put back in our herd. We didn't just raise show cattle. Was that the same on your farm?
Same way. I mean, you had to improve. We had to buy better. You had to improve your herd to make sure all the lines. And my dad was very good at the cow side of the business, extremely well. My older brother was really good too. that wasn't my really strong. I didn't get to play that role as much as I'd like to. I knew all the pedigrees, but it really didn't. It wasn't my main focus. Mine was the secondary, getting the cattle ready, getting to A to B, make them prepared, and make them win. That was my. I guess that's where I got dumped to, but it was fun.
Well, I think it was your strengths and what your family saw in you and what you could thrive at. Exactly. So, what led you out of the dairy industry?
Well, actually, I got accepted at Mizzou and went up there, and I enjoyed it a bunch. And my big first break was, I guess I was very fortunate because all my roommates were always graduates, college graduates. And that threw me to a different level. So you know the professors on a different level than you do as a freshman or sophomore. And so I'm out there hanging with these guys, and everybody
You were already building that network for yourself.
Yes. And they always had their little offices in Echoes Hall upstairs and doing graduate work. And so I figured out how I could get a little office too. So I got to know him. And this guy, Dr. Stephen Whitted was my advisor. And he had someone in doing an interview for graduate students to work for a company called Associated Milk Producers Incorporated, AMPI, out of San Antonio. And I happened to walk in, and he yelled at me, and I went in there and did an interview with him. Not really an interview, it was just a casual conversation, and I got a letter of a job offer in the mail.
You impressed him somehow.
I did somehow, and I don't know why. And so I got a job offer, and it was the best job. And I was their whiz kid.
You
in
hadn't
marketing.
graduated.
I hadn't graduated
College yet?
No.
Okay.
It was my going to my senior year. I dropped out. Didn't drop out. I did the summer. Went down there and it was really fun. Nixon was president. Connally was governor, and it was a deal called the Milk Deal. And we were part of that process. I was only allowed to fly first class on Braniff Airline, if anybody remembers that.
Well, I've never heard of that.
Oh, yeah, it goes way back. And I had an office or an apartment in San Antonio, Texas. And I think that I was there maybe 3 or 4 nights per month.
Yeah.
Because they had me traveling everywhere. At that time, I rented 2 707 jets that we leased to haul all of our people to Minneapolis for an annual meeting. We went around and picked everybody up, and we did this.
You were a high roller before you knew what high roller was.
I rented every room in Minneapolis. We hired Victor Borghi. The guy had to have 2 identical pianos before he would play.
Okay, I don't know who he is.
You got to Google him sometime. Okay. He's old. You got to remember you asked me when I started here.
I know.
So it goes way back. So the people might go look at, how would you even know this guy?
We're going to be Googling him.
Yeah, and it was really fun, but it was hard to deal with, especially when I was a young guy. And we did a great job. And I got back, and we finished. Got into school late, probably about 2 months late. But kind of picked up as my senior year.
So this time your senior year?
Yeah, and it worked out really well. And in fact, I graduated that fall and went back to work for AMPI, and it was a great deal. But we got married at that time, and I remember the people that the company, and I didn't really appreciate it as much, but they gave me a cruise, me and my wife, a cruise free for
honeymoon
for all the work that we gave them during this convention time. So evidently I impressed somebody, but it was really cool. And I thought about that the other day. I said, I wished I could write them another letter and thank them, because I know I didn't do it as enough, because back then you're just moving faster.
Yeah. And
so that's how it got me to my work in the AMPI and kind of moved me from the dairy farm.
So you went to college, but fun fact.
Yeah.
Let's go back to high school. Let's go back to Clever, Missouri.
Clever, Missouri.
Your ag teacher.
Yep.
Very well known.
Yep.
Prestigious man that I love dearly.
Yeah.
Dr.
Anson Elliott. He's the nicest guy. When he left Clever, he went back to Mizzou to get his doctorate degree. So my freshman year, second semester freshman year is called Plant Science. It's a 5-hour course, and it had a lab. He was my lab instructor.
So you had him in high school ag for 4 years?
4 years, yep.
And then in college?
Then got to know him in college. And, of course, when he came back to SMS, back in those days, it was SMS back then, came back, and then we'll go back to the company. And then Anson would always call me, but I know what he was after. He would wait about for 5 minutes, and then he says, "Oh, can we do this?" You know, Anson, I just tell him, get to the back of your question first, because we need money for this project or this project.
And you were always there.
And I was always there for Anson. Still am for Anson.
Well, we have a lot of things in common, but I did not realize that we had the same professor in college.
Yeah. Much different years.
Many years, many years, and I pride myself as being a young 40-something-year-old. But
I do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I knew he was your ag teacher, but I didn't know he was one of your professors also. Small
As
world.
it goes on to the latter part of the world, his wife Betty used to work for me.
At the store?
At the store.
Okay.
Small circle.
Let's dive deep into that store.
Okay.
Before it became what we know as America's Western Store.
Yep.
It was a little feed store.
Feed store. Purina.
Ralston
Purina dealer.
in Clever, Missouri.
In Springfield.
It was in Springfield.
Yeah,
Your
on West
location,
Chestnut Expressway.
first location was in Springfield. Tell me how that began. So you've finished college. You've married your lovely bride, Jonelle.
Well, there's another story to the backside of AMPI. It was a great company. My office was as big as my apartment. Enjoyed everything, and then one day the FBI came in and arrested the president.
Uh-oh.
For some wrongdoing during the milk deals.
And that's why we don't have this company anymore, right?
Well, not with him anymore. And it broke out because it was a gigantic, I was in home office, and it was extremely big company. But, in fact, I got the organizational chart, and I was number 7 out of 22,000 people. Now, I'm just a freshman kid as a marketing person. I kept it, put it on the wall.
You saw their vision.
I guess it did. But it was cool. And I was young, imagine that, at one time. Mm-hmm. Young, arrogant.
What?
Oh. And I knew that I could do something. If I could do this for them, I could do something for myself. Mm-hmm. I had no idea. And I said, okay, I'm going to try something. And we came back. As a dairy farmer, we wore work boots. We didn't have Western boots. Never had one.
When you say work boots, like a mud boot?
Like a mud boot. It's like, galoshes.
Yeah, you slop around it.
Slop around it. That's what we had. Duct tape.
Not a Western cowboy boot.
Nothing like that. And when we were looking at different businesses, and I looked very close at one, and the deal list didn't come together at the time. And I said, obviously, I had to have a lot of financing. So we went over and we started Preferred Farmers Incorporated. Mm-hmm. We started it in 75. There were 4 of us. I think I put in $2,000, and everybody put in $1,000, and that's how it started. We had a table, 8-foot table, and 2 chairs when we started PFI.
Preferred Farmers Incorporated.
Exactly.
Did you originally call it PFI, or was it the beginning?
No,
was it Preferred Farmers Incorporated?
It was always Preferred Farmers. And then, as years went by, we knocked out another wall, and that's when we bought the Western store part of PFI, the feed store.
So your first product you sold?
It was Ralston Purina Feed.
Purina Feed.
Mm-hmm. And we became the largest Purina dealer in the area. Mm-hmm. Did it pretty quick and went to their big programs in Hawaii. They sent us around, and it was great. And we bought the Kool-Aid on Purina. Mm-hmm. But when I bought my first truck, I remember they came out and said, oh, we're going to put the banners on it. We'll put all the Purina banners on and everything else. And I said, guys, we're going to do something different. I bought the truck. I'm making the payments. It's going to have PFI on it. Preferred Farmers from beginning to end. That's when our branding started. And then Purina taught me a lot back in the day when they were in St. Louis, and got to know them well. And we were a big dealer. That all their home office came out. Mm-hmm. We did promotions. We did goofy promotions. One of the biggest ones we ever did is at Exotic Animal Paradise. For about 6 months, I went around, and all of our customers we called a bucko. We gave you $1 for every dollar that you spend with us. Okay. So if you're buying a load of feed, that's $2,000.
Okay.
So we went around and accumulated a lot of product that we could, put in a tent and auction off. But you had to bring your bucko dollars. But we
could
took
only
pictures.
purchase with those. Okay.
But we went out and took pics of every customer we had, not in a posed frame. Some of them were breeding cattle, artificial. Some of them were just waking up at the breakfast table. Some of them were driving the pickup. Some were behind the pickup kicking off hay. And we made a big tent, and everybody loves to see yourself. There was the best promotion. They yelled and screamed and said, "That was me." No, it couldn't have been. It was. And then we had an auction, and we auctioned off. Back then, microwaves was the coolest thing you could get.
A microwave.
And I think we had well over 1,000 people attend. That was our first big promotion, and we had a barbecue. We had a pit. I know Doc Ricketts made the hog pit, and we had 2 beefs, and it was a great promotion. That's when we started making more fun. Buckos that day from Ralston Purina, they all came down, and I said, we're starting branding more PFI.
Well, we've been on the road a lot together, a lot of hours of nuance, right? And every time I hear a new story from you, I've not heard that story before.
Well,
I love it.
My life's a lot longer than yours.
Well, that's true, but I'm fascinated with, as I've got to know you more, you truly embody the spirit of entrepreneurship, and you're always thinking of brand building. Yeah. Whether it's me shooting an idea to you, and you're like, yes, no, maybe, but you're always thinking of that brand, that marketing component, that promotion. And as a marketer myself, I want to be in your brain sometimes.
It's positive and negative. One of the negative parts of being in my brain is I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Poor John L.
I got to do something better the next time through, no matter what. No matter how great it was, you got to stop and say, okay, how can I do better? Everything I've ever been involved in, how can we do better? Never accept standards.
So how did you move Preferred Farmers Incorporated, PFI, into our nation's known as America's Western store?
Well, we bought the Western store, and like I said, I never owned a pair of boots. I borrowed 100% of the money to buy the Western store, and I bought it from a local guy here in town, and
that's the location?
On 2743 West Chestnut Expressway, where it was at the beginning, and the Western store was attached. I bought the inventory, and I remember how much it was, and I bought it from the guy who had an office on College Street, and I went home that night, and I said, what did I do? Because now we got to be into a different world now. We're going to sell something. Well, I learned very quickly, 6 months into this, people, they want, how to put it perfectly, is they will charge what they need and pay for what they want. Now,
I've heard you say that before. Charge what they need.
And pay for what they want.
Pay for what they want.
So they needed a load of feed. They needed a load of feed. They needed this or that. They needed vet supplies. They're going to charge it. But they come in and need a new pair of boots, or want a new pair of boots, or want a new shirt or jeans. They got the money to pay for it.
They pay cash.
So it didn't take me long to figure out I need to be in the want business, not the need business. Because back in those days, in the 80s, late 70s, interest rates was 18, 19, 20%.
It was a hard time to be a farmer.
Yeah, you had to run really hard, and your payables or receivables got really high. And we were on a draft with Purina. Once we crossed the scale and went out the door, that money hit the bank. They were drafting against something that I had to carry people for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. And then that's when I learned very quickly that I need to figure out how I can be in the want business, because it was fun for people coming in and restocking, and you had to learn the retail side of it pretty quickly. And we did.
Do you think that that mindset, that lesson you learned, that you discovered to be in the want, not the need business, has led you through until 2025?
Oh, certainly. There is no question in my mind. Do I ever want to get in that business again, and having that much there's you can't go out and collect anything. When you sell a load of feed, what's left.
Yeah.
So it's not there to go get back. And it's gone time you think about it that, there are 2 or 3 loads behind you already. Is the deal is how long do you want to stay with it before you have to pull the trigger? And back in those days, we didn't have any money as we started with $1,000. But we moving on to the store, that was very fun. In reality, you had 2 good months, November, December, Holidays. Back over in the store. You worked really hard. Your November got you where you're at, and December made you a little bit of money. And then you start again at the beginning of the year buying new product and then trying to figure out how to market it. Then we got in the catalog business. And that
before you dive into the catalog business, how did you when you were starting out? How did you decide what you needed to sell?
Trends. Now, my wife she showed horses. She was Western. And there's a quick lesson to learn, too. It didn't take long to figure it out. If you show horses against your customer and you win, they will tell you that you don't have a customer in reality. That's exactly.
Yes.
So it's either simple. You enjoyed showing horses or enjoyed being in business. Now, where you were in business, now you got to remember all this time is that I was carrying large debt.
Yeah, because this inventory had to be there.
You had to buy the inventory. You had to buy all of it was with large debt. We bought a farm. We built a house. All of this, but debt never bothered me.
Well, you were a risk taker.
Fear bothered me. Fear of failure bothered me more than anything. I did not ever want to fail at myself. And that was a driving point. It wasn't, could I not make the payment? I had a great banker, Louis Perry, best guy in the world. He's still alive. He probably covered my butt for payroll for a year or two. Just if I couldn't get it done, I'll be in Monday or Tuesday. It was one of those handshake deals. And he was very instrumental in helping because he believed in me. And that's a key. You got to have relationships, and you haven't got a good CPA and a good banker. I mean, that's the 2 things you got to have. You cannot disguise those.
Well, you're an expert in what your business is. You can't expect to be an expert in all those other avenues. You have to create a team to have a successful business.
Yeah, and really, one of the quick story on that one, because we bought a lot of straw hats and didn't sell them that much a year. So I said, okay, we're going to keep them for next year because you wanted an inventory because it counted as inventory. Wrong. If it didn't sell the first year, you'll learn very quickly. Get rid of it. It's a dog. Write it off.
Okay. Is that where the tent sale started?
It gets there.
Okay.
You're a long way from there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I won't jump. I want to go in chronological order because it's fascinating. Catalog was next. So how many years in did you decide to do the catalog?
We started, I'm trying to think what year it started. Maybe mid-'80s. It was mid-'80s. The first catalog we mailed, we did 64,000 catalogs. We licked those stamps on 64,000. Made a party that night for all the employees.
You watch Seinfeld? I know I was going down that. Yeah. I can't help but think about that episode.
We did that, and we got down about 4 o'clock in the morning, took everybody to breakfast, and went down and mailed them
all night long.
And we thought we conquered the world because at my goofy mind, I thought I sold everybody in Springfield all the boots I can, so they got to expand this puppy. So we expanded it, and then realized that we're still a lot of growth. At the end of the day, I guess it was 90. What year was it? 97 maybe. I think it was 97. Anyway, that's when we switched to the web. I had a guy wanted me out of the catalog business. I was being too much of a competitor to him.
Sure.
And he called me and he said, I want you out, and this is what I want to pay you. And at the time, we were mailing 8 million catalogs.
So 6,400 year one.
64,000.
64,000 in year one, and then 10 years later or so.
10 years later, we was mailing 8 million. We had our own zip code. We had our own distribution center. I mean, we were kicking out and making big names at that time. Now you're going to buy a year. You got to put together a great team of not only designers but creators and copy people and photography and everything that's set up to be, because you got to be a year ahead.
Well, you're setting the trends.
Yes.
For the Western
basically
clothing.
we did. We bought enough to create their own demand, and you got to be right. You know, it's I can tell you stories of when we weren't right, but you learn from those. But yeah, we learned very quickly. You don't buy white from India. You know, it just doesn't come out white shirts. You know, there's different things. But anyway, it was all fun. But we got to the point where that you're out a year in advance. You've got to create, write, shoot, and you're dropping your catalog in July for fall. So it means you had to be a year ahead of everything bought and received, and here you're ahead no matter what before retail. And you're trying to make retail work at the same time. So we were putting in a lot of hours. Enjoyed the crap out of it, and it expanded 8 million catalogs. But fortunately, I had someone, and at the time, web was coming in. And
of course.
The deal is, in reality, even today, if you have a 3 to 3.5% return on catalog, that means 97% of those papers are going to go to waste. Your copy, ink, people, labor, all that for 3%. And then here comes the web.
That's margins.
Margins. Yeah. And so, and you can predict, we had a great team. We could predict, once we mailed the catalog, we can predict what our sales were going to be for that full catalog in the first 7 days. Every item.
They call in an order?
Oh, yeah. Call in orders.
We have a call center?
We had 40 people working on phones. You know, it's back in the day.
Unheard of.
It was. And we had a great group of people. And we were going pretty fast, you know, for not knowing retail. You had to learn retail as you go.
Well, you say you didn't know it, but you did. You didn't know at the very beginning, but you figured it out, and you created.
Yeah. Basically, what I did in catalog, I went and hired the best guy in the catalog industry and made him live with me. And I told him I'm going to hire him as a consultant until I pick his brain dry. And we're going to work from morning till night. I remember he drank some cheap beer at nighttime. I don't know what it was. And he actually stayed with us.
Literally lived with you.
Yes. Yes. And the kids were little, and everybody's tiptoeing around. Chet Anderson is a great guy, but he literally came in and he lived with us for a full year almost. And I picked his brain dry, but he was the smartest guy in catalog. Second, my best next one was as a guy that ran the Sears catalog, and George Molson, and we were at Denver Airport, and we were going up the escalator and going up to different floors, and I tried conversation to hire him. He says, I don't know that you can afford me. And I said, I don't know that I can't. So let's talk sometime. Well, we left it alone, and then they shut down the Sears catalog. Guess what?
He needed a job.
He needed a job. So for 30 years after that, I hired him, and he lived in Wheaton, Illinois, and he drove back and forth from Wheaton, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. George Molson, and he was my main person for inventory control, did a tremendous, and projections, and he did a great job, and I talked to him last week.
What were some of those key lessons that you took away from his knowledge?
Oh, do the math.
Seems simple, but
it's not. And I even had the biggest thing, and I even put it on the wall. And my buyers used to really cringe. The creative people that I had, do the math. Will it work? Will this, as it goes through, all the processes, from the time you get it to the time of the end, is it profitable? Do the math. If you can make the math work, then we might talk further. But it was really, coming from me, that was a hard thing for me to understand. And to be profitable and to continue growth, next biggest thing is growth consumes cash. It just does. In any business that you're in, no matter what you're growing, growth consumes cash.
And we all want to grow, whatever it is.
And it consumes a lot of cash.
So how did you manage that growth?
By having a great banker and a great CPA.
Good advisors.
I started with a firm here in town, KPM. and really, as Harry Kirkpatrick of the K was the first one, and I've stayed with the firm forever, and Dave Covey was there, my next one, and Richard Bodoff, who I've been with. He's a great friend, and he's helped me so many times that I virtually don't do much of nothing unless I run it through them first.
Still this day,
including as of this morning.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we've gone through feed store, Western clothing store, catalog to online.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the evolution of
why we moved.
The growth, like what created that? What promotion? What kicked it off to actually physically be in the building?
Well, you got to remember, back in the day on Chestnut Expressway is not the best part of town.
No. For a feed store, sure.
Actually, for a feed store, it's okay, but for a Western store, it wasn't. The sidewalks rode up. It was a crime-ridden area. We were even still on sewer. It wasn't even hooked to the city. So we had everything wrong about a retail store. We had it.
Mm-hmm. It
no
wasn't
air
sexy.
conditioning. It wasn't sexy at all. So I just said, okay, that was Lee McLean back in the day, owned all that property out there. And we just began talking and went over there, and back in the day they had CADs. Mm-hmm. So I said, if you're going 70 miles an hour, where in the woods out here do we want to place this building? Mm-hmm. And we did.
In the woods.
In the woods. It was all, you couldn't drive. It was thick. You might get through horseback.
What year was that?
92.
So 92, we're looking at 65.
Yeah.
Highway was in the woods.
We bought it in 92. It had to be earlier in the year of 92 because I remember we had to be finished by 93 to open, and we finally made it. But you got to remember, you're buying the land out there by the square foot. Mm-hmm. And really, to be honest, I didn't know how many feet was in a square foot at that time, but you certainly figured out pretty fast when you buy 6-7 acres. And then you want to push a button, and this big building comes out of the ground that now you're going to owe millions on with the land and the building. And then guess what? You got to fill it full of inventory. And then we're going to open up early in the year. So when you think about this thing, and I tell the story, debt never really bothered me, but I was probably upside down and just didn't realize it.
I think you were definitely upside down and didn't realize it.
But it didn't make a lot of difference because I knew I was going to make it work. I had a great team. Everybody was on board.
The positivity I see in you, no matter where we are, is... And I hadn't really thought about that until you just mentioned that. But you're positive.
You got to be.
You got to be. And that's not an easy thing to do, to be that under.
Yeah, it isn't. But I had my team. I remember, I'm moving way ahead, but I remember a meeting that we had in 2008 because everybody was laying everybody off.
It's a bad time.
Now, you got to remember, once we opened that store, we never had a down year. So we kept growing and growing and growing because we had a great team. But 2008 came, and everybody's laying everybody off. And I remember that night, and I went in that meeting, and I said, guys, we're going to do the opposite. If you want to have decreased sales, decrease your inventory. And that's what everybody was doing. Nationwide was cutting back on their inventories, cutting back on their people, and trying to ride through. I said, we're going to be the opposite. They're going to cut that inventory off. We're going to buy that inventory, but we're going to buy it better than what they would do at the beginning because now they got excess inventory. Guess what? We're not going to fire anybody. We're not going to lay off anybody. We're going to hire people. And I went home that night and I said, what did I say? So I got my team together the next day. I said, we've got to make this happen.
You promised it.
We did. And we had even a record year in 2008. And so that just shot us on.
People come up with what they want.
They buy what they want all the time, and they're going to continue. Now, we increased ourselves because we become more of a $100 store. And we wanted to be there because
if they're only going to shop there once a year, make it work.
And with our tourists. And go back to the beginning of why we put out there, because I wanted people to come. If they're going to be in our parking lot, they're there to buy. And everybody said, you got to be crazy. Why would you build out there by yourself, not next to a mall or someplace else? I didn't want the mall walkers. I didn't want that. I wanted people that's going to come in and buy our product and be part of PFI. And that's the reason I built it there.
So I want to talk about a little brand that had to solidify all this. This brand that's synonymous to boots, to Western life, and I like to think of a little bit of that Ozarks flair. BootDaddy.
Our BootDaddy brand. Justin McKee and Paul Patterson was doing a show called Shopping Western Style on RFD. We expanded. That's another story by itself because we kept on expanding.
Yeah.
You got to get out there to other people to get more to you. So that was our first weekly TV show.
What year was this?
Probably 15 years. No, 20 years ago. Maybe now. Time goes by.
2000?
Yeah, it could have been.
Okay.
Easily. I'm trying to think of the year.
Yeah.
But RFD just got started really good. So we went down, and of course, we got to know Pat really well, and he said, okay, I want to do this. I'll give you a break if you'll do this. And I said, we'll produce it. We'll cut it. We'll send it to you. It was great, but we could only get so many viewers, and we needed so many viewers to get beyond that. But before I get there, I was talking about how BootDaddy developed. And we were in there, and Justin McKee said something like, you're the BootDaddy of the country, or whatever. And I said, don't you ever repeat that word again. So
you're like, hey, can I buy that word from you?
I instantly went back and made certain that I could register BootDaddy. And that's when it started. So about 2 months after he said that, I went back and said, now, we are BootDaddy. It's ours. We're going to use it forever.
You say it all you can.
And that's how it went. And then that's when, we did Shopping Western Store for about 3 or 4 years. And that's when Larry's Country Diner came about. And Larry wanted me to come down. And I thought I just did it as a nice gesture because I knew him. As in, Larry Black used to be a DJ here in Springfield, Missouri. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
There was an AM station way back in the day called KICK.
KICK.
It was the best format for rock and roll in the Ozarks when you were a kid. It wasn't country. KWTO was a big country station.
Keep watching the Ozarks.
Oh, and we listened to it every morning when to flip the switch, it came on. But my little transistor radio, I got to listen to it on KICK. And Jungle Jim Stanley, everybody had different names back in those days. And so Larry Black was actually a disc jockey. And that's how I first got to know him. And then he started he did his movie series and everything else, and then he started Larry's Country Diner. So we went down there, and I sat there that afternoon, and they did a couple tapings. And I said, I had more fun that day, not thinking about anything. And I said, come up, we'll figure out something to do and figure out how to sponsor it. And then we had to bring 2 other sponsors in to make it work because it cost a bunch of money. A lot of money. Much more than many more people think.
But you didn't just say, yeah, we'll sponsor it.
No,
you inserted yourself in the story. And I think that's a lesson in journalism, or not in journalism, a lesson in marketing. Don't wait for the story to come to you. Put yourself in the story.
I said, we want to talk about, but we want to do it part of the show. I want to be incorporated in your show. Don't want much. Give us a couple minutes.
You didn't want to sing?
Didn't want to sing.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's another story about that with the Texas Tenors. But we'll get to that later, maybe, if you bring it back
on episode 2.
Yeah. But it's so much fun that Larry, we became part of the show. In fact, if you watch it today, you can't eliminate us because we're part of the act. And it was so much fun, and people loved us. We came up with stuff that was unique to Larry's Country Diner audience, and we sold it, and people loved it. They kept coming by, and our tourism kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, coming people from the store. And every year we had to keep on having an increase. That's the biggest thing in my life. I don't know what I would ever do if I had a decrease in sales.
You haven't had to experience it because you've been doing so many things
Our BootDaddy brand, then along come the BootDaddy Bull.
Okay, Bull. Are we ready for
PBR?
For the PBR?
We could.
Okay.
But we did the BootDaddy Bull the first year, or really right the year before we did the first televised PBR. That worked out because Randy Bernard, who is Garth Brooks' manager today, was president of PBR. And I said, I want to try this. He said, well, it's a small town, you can't. And they built a queue. And I said, okay. And we just got to know each other well. And he says, okay, let's go partners on the first one.
That's the first PBR in Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, televised PBR.
Okay.
We did some touring pros in Hammond Student Center, and there was fun projects, and we hung a pickup in the air and filled it full of slop and had 3 keys in it, and people had to dive in it. Whoever got the key to start it got to win the pickup. I'm goofy, crazy, stuff like that.
But it worked.
It worked. There's stories like that. But anyway, going back to Randy Menard, we started the PBR, and he said, if it'll work, I said, you don't have to partner with me. I'll eat the loss if there's a loss. I said, I just want the commitment that we can do it. We got it. We did it. And we became extremely successful to where the point that we were standing there, and as a weak moment in time, he says, we got to go from 2 days to 3 days. And there's only 2 other places that, other than the finals and another place had 3-day events. And I said, okay, I'll try. But as a weak moment, I said, it's hard to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Absolutely.
It's hard. You can do 2 of the 3, but now you got it another, because these tickets were expensive.
Yeah.
$100 tickets. And we had so much fun with it that we became doing national stuff. But it really goes back to the bull. And one of the PBRs, our bull, is that we did it for breast cancer, the Ozarks, and we painted that bull pink because we did it as whoever won got a chance to ride for $10,000 on BootDaddy, the bull. And luckily, BootDaddy, the bull, won most of the time. I think we had to pay 1 time. But we paid.
You had a lot of faith in that bull.
Well, and he was a great bull. And of course, he got to go to finals and falling to every place else. But really, the key to growth was keep on changing the PBR openings, making them so unique that people remembered it for the next year. So we did 2 or 3 of them, but probably our biggest one that we started is when we wanted Governor Greitens to come down, but knowing him that we couldn't get him to come down just to say a few words because that wasn't his personality.
Got to make an entrance.
So we went up, set an appointment with him, and I remember Whitney Grove and I went up, sat in his office, and they said, we're going to make this a wow factor. What is going to make you come back down? So we began talking. Do you want to get on a bull? Not really. What can you do? Because I don't want to embarrass myself. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So we began talking. I said, what if we did something really out of the ordinary and repel you from the ceiling? And he thinks you're crazy. And
I was there that night. It was fascinating.
And I could see him doing that. And it was so much fun that we got him to come down, and his crew wouldn't follow him out on the beam because he had to go across a black beam, in the lights on, cross over another beam, get to the rope and rappel. But that's with all the lights on. So he had to do it that night. He agreed to do this. I gave him an out before that night. I said, we can come up with something else before, because it wasn't promoted yet. It was totally secret.
Yeah.
So we could have not done it and been okay. But it's a big secret. So we did the hype, and he knew his cue. And he crawled over, popped out, put spotlight on him, blinded him. He had that rope in his hand, and he rappelled down. I met him at the end of the rope. His hand was like vice grips. He had adrenaline going through his body because he knew he couldn't fail. So that PBR used that for their heading for the next year until luckily changed, and Governor Parson took over, which is a great friend of all of us. And he came to the PBRs. The next one we flew.
All to sell boots.
All to sell boots. All to sell PFI. Because they had to buy the tickets at PFI.
They could not get them anywhere else. Which is another gimmick I did not realize.
Yeah. MSU partnered with me, allowed me to move their system from which they don't have at any other place, to where I was live on their system from my store. So I could go in and change anything I want to about anything that they would do, but they knew I would not. And we had source codes and protections.
Of course.
And we sold all the tickets. So they had to come by, And as they were there buying tickets, it was buying something else. And tourists come on, well, what's going on? So it filled up the void. And then after we got going, we did 2 or 3. I know we're probably running short of time, but my next one, we brought a family, we surprised a family, a guy we were buying back from Iraq, and surprised his family, his wife and 2 kids, and he had no idea. We done some really cool ones, and the last one, Josh Hawley's sister, who was a commander in the Navy, she was retiring, and so we got her to zip line down to the bottom and meet Josh at the bottom, and that was a cool one too. But Greitens with the rope is probably the biggest and the best.
Well, all fascinating stories that really, like I mentioned, culminate back to selling Western clothes.
It is.
And your innovative brain.
Yeah.
Take me back to the beginning of this household tagline that we all can recite, and you probably get tired of hearing.
Oh, I'd love it. I know I never get tired.
How did that begin?
Jerry Clark and Fred Schweitzer. Fred was a great creative guy. He loved me to death back in the old store. He was with KY3. He was a creative director. He loved Western. He loved everything about what we were doing, and he knew I was half crazy.
Well,
Jerry
very
Clark,
true.
who was my agent, PR person, greatest girl and woman in the world. Her husband was Russell Clark, who was a federal judge. But Jerry was the nicest. In fact, she just reached out to me last week. We were talking about it. We were doing a commercial, 30-second commercial. I'm standing next to a creek promoting boots, Tony Lama boots. And we had 3 seconds left. And it's her idea. She says, you got to say, and I'm not kidding. And I said, Jerry, I'm 20-something years old. These people are going to kill me, make fun of me, but I will do it because you. And I did it. It stuck. And that's been the tagline. And I called her one time, and I never forget it. I said, can we come up with another? And she said, no way.
No way.
Do not ever change it. You're getting tired of it. The people now are just getting used to it, and we'll continue. To this day, it's been the best thing we could ever do. And I did not sell my tagline. I kept that in the contract.
You kept that.
So and I'm not kidding. And it's registered. And that was my tagline.
Well, there's so many other stories that we could talk about, and maybe we still can another
Party in the
time.
parking lot.
Party in the parking lot. The party in the parking lot is one of my favorite because as a young college student, well, 2 things. Okay. As a young college student, and I've told you this story before, I actually tried to apply for a job to work with you.
Yeah?
But I chickened out. I went with my application in hand, and I walked in the store, and it had to have been my freshman year of college. It should have been like fall 03. And I couldn't do it. I walked back to the car. And I remember calling my mom saying, I couldn't go back in there. So anyways, I didn't. I think I got a job at like the grocery store or something like that afterwards because it was so intimidating because you were Randy Little and this was the Western store. But it also fit who I was because that was me. But I also, as a college student, got to attend some of those party in the parking lots.
Yeah. But really our team, Josh, Paul, Sandy, all of them has been with me forever.
Great people.
Made John L's team, the buying side on all the people that we had that stayed with us for 30, 40 years made PFI. It wasn't me. I just kind of come up with goofy ideas, and I always made sure, they work, do the math. And then Paul was so creative in his mind, and he designed so many boots and shirts and stuff. And John L was too, but she had to be she was in control of all the inventory. So once we set the budget, we had to live with that budget, good or bad. Josh and Saddles and Tack or Larry, whomever. Larry, gosh, best people we have, and that's what made PFI. It wasn't me. I was just kind of the face, and we did the commercials, and I was there, and I was visible. And
you were there.
I had to be.
I've been at the store with you a few different times, I think, for meetings or popping in, and you'd get a phone call from your office, and they'd say, so-and-so from so-and-so, Timbuktu, would love to take a picture with you, wanted to see you. And you would you would stop what you're doing every single time, and you'd go meet every single customer. Everyone, because they came to have a good memory.
My job
The
was
Western
to
wear
make
was an
them.
experience.
It was. I knew they were going to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to sell them something. They drove from Minneapolis or wherever they're coming from to see me, to make a memory for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted that. And that's what I wanted to give to them, making memories. And that's what we grew up in at the end of the world. We were a marketing company selling Western wear.
You were.
And that's how we developed. And we wanted to stay ahead of the curve so far in advance of all the product we did and buy uniqueness. And then, of course, we did the hoodies.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when...
What, spend $50, spend $100?
You spend $50.
Get a hoodie for
$10.
Yep.
Well,
I have a few of those in my house still.
It was so easy because we're in a $100 store.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't a question of whether they're going to spend $50. They spend $100 already. I just use $50 as an easier thing,
mm-hmm.
and you can spend it and you get a BootDaddy hoodie for $10. And we went through about 240,000 of them in one store.
In how many years?
3 years, 2.5 years.
2.5 years, 350,000 hoodies.
Yes. Yeah. That they paid $10 for, and they walk in billboards.
Walking billboards.
Marketing. Fun. They wanted to.
When did you know that you were ready to retire?
I didn't. I had no intentions of retiring. I don't use the word. I'm never going to retire.
That's why I cringe at the word retire, because you're busier now than ever. When did you decide, hey, I think it's time to sell?
I didn't.
They just called.
We were doing a benefit for Good Samaritan Boys Ranch and Protect the Harvest. We grossed $320,000 that night. $320,000. The governor was there. Forrest Lucas was there. We fed everybody a big steak dinner. We'd have everybody in town there. And we netted $305,000 for the group. That's another thing we did. We did so many benefits that people don't know what we did.
Mm-hmm.
But
you gave back.
We gave back to the community
all the time.
We never kept a penny
mm-hmm.
of our labor, every design, everything we created for that. We divided among those two, and every year we took our non-for-profit down to zero. Zero. We didn't keep money back for administrative or anything else. It went down to zero. So when we started every day,
mm-hmm.
that afternoon I got a call, and the guy said, I thought it was another headhunter. He says, no, you need to check your email. And I went out and I looked at it. And that night, I did it subliminally. I said, guys, this is my last one.
This is when you're at the benefit. You're at the mic.
Yeah.
Hundreds of
September
people.
September 23rd.
John L. didn't know.
John L. didn't know.
Your kids didn't know.
Kids did not know. No one knew. I read it myself, and I just said, and it was a good lead because you could say, well, we'll never do another one because we can't ever top this.
Sure.
That was so huge amount for Springfield, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Just gigantic. And getting all the product and everything, and it worked perfectly. But it took planning for that took a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a BootDaddy Bash. That's what it was called. And so we had fun with that. And, of course, we invited a lot of people from out of town, from different states that showed up for it. And it turned out really good. But it was that day, and then 30 days later, literally 30 days later, 2 businesses, 2 different buildings, 2 inventories, land being surveyed, everything was done in 30 days. All the attorneys said it will take you 90 to 120. I didn't care because we were going into holiday season. Mm-hmm. I already had X millions already bought
mm-hmm.
to go into holiday season, or either here or on the way here,
mm-hmm.
or my spring, which starts in December 26th. So it went that fast, and no one said it could ever happen. But anyway, it did.
It did.
It did, and you find yourself as a consultant, but the consultant means get the heck out of here,
Well, I know in traveling with you, why have we got to know each other? You were good supporters of the old TV show. You were good friends of Missouri State. You were great friends with my dad. But most recently, we've got to serve on the Missouri State Fair Commission, both appointed by Governor Mike Parson, and we serve the greater good of Missouri agriculture through the fairs and festivals and exposition of youth livestock, of open livestock, and highlight of agricultural education. And we could have a whole talk about that. But you have your foot in so many arenas. Oh, literally, no pun intended. But we've got a lot. You've got a lot of things going on. But the number one thing you're doing right now is giving back with all your knowledge and skill and your network of people, those resources, to not just Southwest Missouri, but the state as a whole, and in particular Missouri agriculture.
I'm very big in Missouri agriculture, but I also try to back up what I never ask anybody to do something that I haven't done. So when we go out here and we try to find key people that want to be big supporters of ag and the dollars that we're expecting, I do the same thing. I'm turning around and write a big check too, because I do not want to be a part of agriculture without giving back. And that is the key. I mean, it really is. It's more fun now to figure out how to use the leverage that we have and the friendships that we have and the businesses that we have to develop into something to make the state fair bigger and better. We've had an opportunity through COVID money to be able to grow and acquire 200 more acres at the state fair. We had the opportunity to have a great governor that loved agriculture in Mike Parson. And we had an opportunity to develop a new, as we're building today, and as we're going to further expand that to be probably twice as big as it is as if you look at it today. And Governor Kehoe is a big supporter of agriculture too, just into a different way. So I'm a very agriculture person. My roots go back to agriculture, and I want to give back to agriculture as much as I can, and to kids. We got to get
You've
back to
never
the
said
youth.
no to the kids.
Never said no to the kids, especially kids that can't. If kids can get a job, I always like the kids that can't, the handicapped kids, the parents that struggle worse than you and I, because we've been very gifted. And I've been extremely blessed in life. Even though I worked hard, I've been very blessed, and I want to make sure I give back. I don't, and that's what we do at the Berry Farm.
And that is it. Going back to, so you think about giving back. Well, you got your feet deep in Branson with Adventure Seekers, and then in the former ROTTV theater there, you are a berry farmer. You're experts in growing blueberries and strawberries, and you're going to be heading home because it's going to get cold soon. You've got to drain those water lines. But
and plus, we farm about 1,000 acres.
Yeah, you actually have cows. You're a real farmer,
and that
is probably what our listener group probably doesn't fully understand. They think of you as this successful entrepreneur
that lives in town.
But Randy does not live in town, and Randy is a tried and true farmer.
I am. This red face doesn't happen because I'm not out in the sun a lot.
You drink a lot of iced tea.
Green tea.
I've never seen you without this cup. It's the same one. I think it's been around the block.
Yeah. And it was a sample, by the way.
Oh, so you didn't even purchase
No,
this?
it was free.
It was
a sample. They
Shocker.
gave it. We did buy a lot of them, but that one particular color was a sample.
So, Randy, let's go back to that 18-year-old dairy farmer.
Yep.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Two things, or really three things. Respect, desire, and determination. If you don't have those three things to begin with, you will not succeed. It's as plain as simple. Then you got to do the math. You got to make every decision from the brain. But the biggest thing I could tell anybody, whether it's 18 or 47 or whatever age group, is act instead of react. That is so critical to think that through. Act instead of react. Because people react all the time. They'll let emotions get ahead of the brain. They do things because somebody else is doing it, or somebody else, big store or big company is doing this, or we're doing crazy things. Mine is always act. What was my game plan? What did we intend to do to help PFI? How was we going to grow PFI? What segments were you going to work on? Act instead of react is a key to success for my whole team. We all put it on the wall. I gave it to my grandkids going to college. If you got to have a plan, act instead of react. It's very critical when you think it through.
As you mentor young people in the industry, in the ag business industry, I consider myself one of your mentees. I am always seeking advice and listening.
Well, how about when you guys came over from the A-Lot?
A-Lot.
That was fun.
Yes. So Missouri Ag Leaders of Tomorrow, we came, it was 2015.
You came 2 or 3 times. But
Yeah,
I enjoyed it because you guys wanted to learn.
Yes, we would sit back, and I remember, sitting back and hearing your story and how, and I knew of you, but everybody does.
You got to challenge yourself, and I always did it to A-Lot kids. Do you have the desire? Do you have the preparation? Do you want to be in business for yourself? Then once you answer those questions, then you can be there and do the rest. But it's making a major commitment. You've got to give up every Saturday of your life to be in business because they want to see you. You need to be there. Are you committed to do that?
And you were.
First one. I was, but I'm asking to the class of A-Lot, which had a lot of cool people in it. And I love doing that because they wanted to be someplace other than an ordinary job.
Yeah.
They did.
One of the other things that I've watched you do, I've seen it witness it in person, is you ask very good questions. Questions, whether it's that wow factor that you mentioned in your own business. We laugh and joke at the state fair, you're the wow factor. What's Randy's wow factor this year? But you've asked strategic questions that have allowed me to think more critically about whatever that topic is. And I think that's when I'm on a board or on a committee or planning something or just in my own career and life and family, I'm like, what questions do I need to be asking? And so that's one thing that I've recently learned from you.
Well, age. We got a good gap between you and I.
Just
and
a
you're
little bit.
gaining.
But you're
not gaining. You're gaining in knowledge.
Oh, there we go.
Gaining in wisdom.
I'll take
and
that.
you're going to be the same way back as you get to my age, because that allows you to you'll correct a lot of mistakes that you knew that you was making, and you'll be more forthright. I am very direct. I don't really try to beat around the bush much. I want to be as direct questions I possibly can get to get a direct answer, because I want to be on a winning team. And I love people to be around me to be a winning team. And you're the youth of our commission. You are. You're going to be the bright star down the road for the commission because of your age and your desire to be part of the commission. And the governor did a great job in putting you on there.
Well, thank you.
And I'm sure that the next governor will continue. But my gas tank is not full. My age is not on the bright side. I couldn't be in business for 47 years at PFI if I'm young.
That's
I did
right.
start young, but it's been good, and I have been very blessed. But I can't get back youth, but it does help.
Well, Randy, thank you for letting me take listeners beyond the gates of your brain as an entrepreneur, as an agribusinessman, as an innovator, as a community supporter, because this has enlightened so many with what you do, starting out selling Purina feed and then boots and then PBR tickets, and the sky is the limit. Thank you for letting us step in, and I appreciate you joining us, Randy.
Well, thank you, Jamie.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond the Gate. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We've got new episodes dropping every other Wednesday. If you want even more local content, follow Around the Ozarks on Facebook and Instagram. Or you can go to aroundtheozarks.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. Join me next time for more stories of grit, growth, and spirit of rural life.